This is Chris with Dive Zone Scuba for another technical diving tips, techniques, and trips video. Whenever we travel to Bonaire, we attempt to stay at the Den Laman Condominiums, which is located just north of the city. Den Laman has an on-site dive shop, which is Dive Friends. Dive Friends has several tank pickup locations across the island, so it is very convenient to dive with this company. There is also an on-site restaurant called Breezes and Bites where you can get lunch and dinner. After receiving the dive briefing, you then proceed to the equipment room where you'll pick up your weights. There are carts that you could use to transport your gear to the dock. Here is the window where you'll pick up your weights. Dive Friends does have a full complement of equipment for those people who do not own their own. Here is the gear room where you'll normally store your gear, and each user is assigned a peg or a hook for their gear. The gear room is locked at night, but we suggest taking your computer and regulator with you back to your room. Here is the walkway down to the dock. On the right is the other condominium complex, Sand Dollar, and on the left is the Breezes and Bites restaurant. Here's a better shot of the restaurant. And now we're going to proceed down the ramp to the dock. The dock is locked at night and is a bit unusual in that it is a private dock and divers are only allowed to use this dock if they stay at Den Laman or Sand Dollar. Here's a local resident. Here's the tank station at the dock, so you do not have to bring your tanks down there, and you'll pick up an air or a nitrox tank. In the case of the nitrox tanks, you will analyze them right there on the dock. Divers will generally set their gear up on the benches here and secure their tanks with the bungees. There are also some small tables on the end of the seating area, and you can put cameras and delicate items like that on the table. You can enter the water by doing a giant stride off the end of the dock, or you can go down this set of stairs. You also use this set of stairs to come out of the water. There's a nice handrail to help you climb out. Okay, here's the scene of the accident. There is a missing piece of chipped concrete here, and as it is in the middle of the dock, it is a natural pool for any water draining off from the shower or from divers walking by. What you don't want to do in Bonaire is step in this spot. While this damage should be actually fixed, the accident was actually the result of an accident chain. The accident chain started with this, a flip-flop. This particular flip-flop is the kind that has a piece of material that goes between your toes versus the kind that you slide your foot in, but I don't think it makes any difference. Notice the bottom of the flip-flop. A lot of what little tread this flip-flop has is worn down. And as you can see, it is very slick on any sort of smooth or wet surface. I believe that the actual nature of the material itself increases the probability that the flip-flop will slide. It would have been much better to wear a dive boot from the room down onto the dock. Most dive boots are specifically designed not to slip on wet docks and boat decks. The second link in the accident chain is, of course, the actual location where the concrete was damaged and the water was pooling. There was a 3-hour hospital visit. This is the end result of the accident chain: a broken ankle. Unfortunately, the accident occurred at the beginning of the first day of diving, so that the diver did not actually make a single dive during the trip. Fortunately, the diver had Dan insurance, and between the regular insurance and the Dan insurance, the medical costs should all be covered. You can rent crutches here by the Vandertwills Market. We also ended up having to take an earlier flight back to the United States. Unfortunately, the airport in Bonaire does not use jetways. In order to board the aircraft, passengers must walk up a set of stairs. The diver was unable to climb the stairs, even with the assistance of one of the airport staff members. In order to climb the stairs, the diver had to scoot herself backwards up the steps. When the diver reached the last step in the stairway, there was a standing ovation from the other passengers waiting to board the plane. Fortunately, United flights that have more than 60 seats had a compact wheelchair on board, so the wheelchair was used to transport the passenger to her seat. During the boarding process, I met a lady who said that she was going to immediately throw out her flip-flops. So this experience has actually already helped at least one person. So what not to do in Bonaire, or any dive trip for that matter: don't use flip-flops. Change into your dive boots when you go diving. And make sure you have Dan insurance before you go, and you keep all your receipts. This is Chris with Dive Zone Scuba. I hope this video helps somebody in the future. And please subscribe.